I believe there are 5 or 6 main reasons why people don't make a full-time living reselling, and then there's a ton of other related sub or smaller reasons why people never make it to full-time. I want to talk about a ton of those reasons here today.
The first reason why people don't make it full-time reselling, especially on eBay, is because we focus on our store size or the amount of items we have listed instead of focusing on how many items we are actually selling each day, each week, each month. And there's a logical reason behind this. The reason why most people do this is because when we first start reselling, we usually sell things from around our house that we actually bought for full price that still probably has a lot of value on the resale market. Or we watch some YouTube videos or some TikToks and we see a ton of things that sell really well. And then we see those items out in garage sales or thrift stores, and so we buy them and then we start listing them and we see a good amount of sales because we have quality items listed in our stores. So a lot of people have 100 items listed and they immediately start selling 2 a day every single day, or even 3. So they think to themselves, logically in their head, if I can just get to 1,000, I'll sell 20 items every single day, because at 100, I'm selling 2. That typically doesn't work because people start to sacrifice the quality of the items they're picking up to chase an arbitrary number of items listed in their store. What starts to happen is we're consistently able to find 5 items per day that have actual value, that sell quickly, otherwise known as sell-through rate. We're able to source 5 items almost every single day that have a 90-day 100% sell-through rate. So we list those items throughout the week, and we end up listing in the beginning about 25 items per week on average that have a 100% sell-through rate, and we end up selling more than 1% of our store every single day. So we end up having 2 or 3 sales at 100. So then we think, okay, I'm just going to 10x this. I'm going to get 1,000 items. But what happens is we sacrifice the quality of the items to chase that number. You were only able to find 5 100% sell-through rate items per day. Now, just to get to your goal, and you want to get there faster than you should, we'll talk about that later, you start picking up 15 items per day. You're still picking up the 5 that have a 100% sell-through rate, and you're also picking up 5 that have a 70, 50-ish percent sell-through rate, and you're also picking up 5 that have a 20% sell-through rate. So you put all of those items into your store, and at the beginning it's working because you still have all of those quality items in your store, and you're still adding 5 quality items to your store per day, but you're also adding 5 okay items and 5 pretty junky items. As your store continues to grow and grow and grow, the store grows and your sales per day start to do this and taper off and then plateau somewhere. Now you're at 1,000 items, but you're not at 20 sales per day. You're honestly probably somewhere around 8 or 9 because you're chasing the store number instead of the sales per day number.
So the way you combat this is, instead of focusing on a store number of 1,000 items, 2,000 items, 5,000 items, because I know people, I know this isn't made up, just experiences. This is real life experience and anecdote. I know people that have 5,000 items. They message me all the time. 5,000 items selling 2 a day, or 3,000 items selling 1 a day. It's because they were focusing on set it and forget it, list it, it'll eventually sell. The more you list, the more you sell. Those are all really common phrases here in the reselling community. And they may have worked back in the day, but they just aren't working now. And a lot of these people are frustrated, they're even scared, and they're wanting to quit. And they definitely aren't making full time. The way you combat this is you focus on sell-through rate. I talk about this all the time on my channel. I'm going to keep talking about it on my channel. It is much better to find and list 3, we'll say 5 100% sell-through rate items than it is to list 20 40% sell-through rate items. And again, back to my previous analogy, you're picking up 5 100% sell-through rate, 5 60% sell-through rate, 5 20% sell-through rate. When people are picking up 20 items per day, it's usually a mix of like 1 or 2 really good items, and then 7 to 10 pretty okay items, and pretty okay items usually take 4 to 6 months to sell. And then it's 10 really crappy items that take 6 to 36 months to sell. And that's not at a position you want to be in. So the way that you combat this is you focus on sell-through rate. Only pick up items. And in my store, I am okay with putting in items that have an 80% sell-through rate. That's kind of my, sometimes I will put in some 60% sell-through rate items. I have a few remote controls that are kind of harder to come by that have a lesser sell-through rate, but I'm okay putting those in my shop because they're so inexpensive and they have a good profit margin. But I can't fall in love with that, or I will just have a store of 10,000 remotes that don't sell well. So I have parameters in place to make sure that I'm not just buying every single profitable remote. I just kind of figured this out in my head, I guess. Not every profitable item is worth it. Don't buy it just because it's profitable. That's even hard for me to understand completely. But don't buy every single profitable item you find. Only buy profitable items that sell quick enough for your business. I definitely recommend shooting for a 100% sell-through rate store. If you only find 2 that day, only buy 2. If you find 16, buy 16. If you find 5, buy and list 5. A few other ways to combat this is just driving a longer distance to get more items. You can still inflate the amount of items you're putting into your store by getting more quality items, by going to other cities, by going to other thrift stores, or by making more connections via Facebook. There's a ton of different ways to source. I have all of those listed here in my channel if you guys are interested in those, but I don't want to talk about those today. But you got to increase how far you're driving, how much time you're sourcing, how many people you're talking to about the items you're interested in, and learning more and more and more items and brands and things like that that sell. Focus on sell-through rate, focus on sales per week or per month. I like to focus on how many items did I sell this month. Was it around 500? It wasn't. I sucked this month. Was it more than 500? Did great this month. That's about how many I sell usually per month. So focus on how many are selling per month, not how many items are listed in your store. Check out these hand motions. The second major issue that stops people from going full-time or making a full-time living. Also, you don't have to work full-time to make a full-time living on eBay. That's the cool, beautiful thing about eBay. So you can get to a point where you're working 15 hours a week and making $80,000 a year, which is awesome. But we'll get to that later as well. One of the major reasons why people don't make a full-time income reselling on eBay is because they focus too much on the algorithm and not on the customer. Let me preface this by saying my whole career has been making money understanding algorithms. I did Vine back in the day, the 6-second videos. You had to understand the algorithm there. YouTube has an algorithm that you have to cater to. eBay has an algorithm that you have to cater to. I do TikToks. I grew and sold Twitter accounts. I've had businesses where I dive in deep into the Google algorithm. How can I improve SEO, AdSense, all that good stuff, all right? Stop focusing on the algorithm and focus on your customers. Alluding to my last point where people are like, okay, well, I need to list the same amount of items every single day for the algorithm. Don't do that. I need to take 24 photos for the algorithm. Don't do that. I need to do this for the algorithm, that for the algorithm. Replace algorithm with customer. Is there a demographic of customers that want this Ninja blender with the lid and the blade? Yes. I've identified that there is a demographic of customers that want this. What do my customers want? Do my customers want 24 photos of this? Maybe, probably not. My customers definitely want just a nice photo of this. They want to see how many ounces are in it, so you take a photo of that. They want to see that this actually works, so I'll take a photo of that. They want to see if it will fit their unit. They want a picture of that. They want a picture of the blade itself, and they want all of these various pictures. So instead of thinking to yourself, I need to take enough pictures for the algorithm, You need to ask yourself, how many photos do I need to take for my customers? A lot of people say, well, if you want increased reach and if you want to please the eBay algorithm, you need to do free returns. While that is inherently true, the only reason why you get an increase in views from eBay when you put in free returns is because that's what your customers are looking for. Customers want a free return just for the assurance of knowing that if something goes wrong, they can return it, and it just builds reputation and character amongst you as a reseller or as your business. When people see two of the exact same items, one of them is free returns, the other one isn't, same condition, same price, same everything, they're just going to buy the one with free returns. Even though they don't have the intentions of returning it, they're just going to pick the ones that have the better option because that's better for them as a buyer and as a customer. Another reason why people list the same amount of items every single day is so they can show eBay consistency and show eBay that you are on the site every day putting in work, and they think that that gives them better influence with the algorithm. Is that true? Yeah, probably. But your customers want you on eBay every single day so you can answer their questions promptly, so you can ship out their orders promptly, so you can deal with their returns as fast as possible. If you go into a pawn shop or a taco stand and no one's there, I always say this. I always say, oh, I guess they don't want money today. You know? If you're not in your eBay shop, your customers are going to say, oh, they just don't want money today. I asked a buying question, they didn't answer it. I'm just going to buy it from someone who's going to answer the buying question. Do you get an algorithmic boost for posting every day and answering questions quickly? Of course you do. Is it because that's what the eBay algorithm demands? No. It's because it's what the customers demand. Think of it this way. The algorithm is only set in place to make eBay the most money possible. Every business person knows the best way to make the most money possible is to acquire and keep customers. The best way to keep a customer is to give them a positive buying experience. The algorithm is set in place to give the best buying experience possible for the customers. You don't serve the algorithm, and the algorithm doesn't serve you. The algorithm serves the customer. And if you serve the customer, the algorithm is going to be on your side because you're serving buyers and you're serving customers. Another reason why people don't make a full-time income on eBay or reselling is because they don't understand their numbers. You don't have to be a numbers guy to be really good at business or to exceed in business, but numbers, in my opinion, are what separate good entrepreneurs and business owners from great ones, and what separate great ones from amazing entrepreneurs. This is kind of a topic for maybe a different video or even a different channel, but a lot of times people think they're making $100,000 and they're really only making $25,000. Or they think that they're making $1,000 a week when really they're only making $400 a week. It's because they don't understand their numbers. It's really important to understand your cost of goods, your shipping, your fees, all of that stuff. I'm not going to dive in deep on how to understand these numbers in this video. I can in another video. But you have to truly understand how much profit you actually make per item and if that's worth it. And sometimes, especially in businesses outside of this one, a lot of people think, if I just sell more items or if I just sell more of my service, I'm going to make more money. And it actually doesn't end up working that way. A lot of times someone will start a company and they'll sell 100 jewelry kits for $10. And then they're like, you know what? I'm going to sell 1,000 of them. But in order to sell 1,000 of them, they increase their ad spend on Google and they hire an employee. Now they're actually making only 10% more at 1,000 per week than they were at 100 units per week. But the number that they see of revenue at 1,000 is significantly higher. So they push it to 10,000 and they triple down on their ad spend. They get 2 more employees and a company credit card and a company vehicle. And they buy more product and they hire designers to make more designs of the product, and then they're like, oh well, let's expand into this, let's expand into that. Their revenue keeps going up and up and up and up and up and up, but their profit starts going down. That also happens on eBay. A lot of times we overbuy, we over leverage, we don't understand completely the fees or the shipping involved on some things. So we think, like, a lot of people don't understand combined shipping. And I'll go into that in another video, but if you sell 10 items at $10 plus $5 shipping, and you do that 10 times, you get charged fees 10 times. If you can sell 10 items at a discount at combined shipping, even at that discount, you still make more money. And I can explain those numbers in a different way, but it's really important to understand your numbers. A lot of people just kind of treat this as a hobby or as a side hustle, even though they complain about not making full-time money. They complain about not making full-time money, even though they say this is just a hobby or a side project or whatever. But if you don't understand your numbers, it will just continue to be a side hustle. It'll just continue to be a hobby, and you'll never actually make full-time money. I am not here to call out any specific people whatsoever. I'm just relaying to you guys the many, many, many messages I have received recently from subscribers and from people in the community. A lot of people were making a ton of money, especially in the pandemic, and they're not making too much money right now. A lot of people were making a ton of money 10 years ago, 15 years ago on eBay, and they're not making a ton of money now. One of the major reasons why that is because they continue buying and trying to sell things now that are no longer selling. That were selling extremely well during the pandemic or extremely well 10 or 15 years ago, but are not selling at all today. It is important that we adapt and we find new, fresh items that are selling well and continue to expand our horizon, adapt to these changes, and find these items. An example I use a lot, and this gets a lot of people very emotional and fired up and passionate, is media. Especially during the pandemic, people were selling DVDs for $40 that were not worth $40. A lot of people were selling CDs and cassettes for $25, $35, and today these items are only selling for $4 plus shipping. A lot of these DVDs sell for $2.99 free shipping. Don't get me wrong. I sold a Green Day cassette tape today for $30. I sold a Metallica cassette 3 days ago for $30. I sold a Red Hot Chili Peppers sealed CD the other day for $75. I still sell these items. They still sell. But you have to look up each individual item. Again, this goes back to the sell-through. And before I get too off topic, let me say this point. The reason why a ton of people aren't at a full-time income as a reseller is because they are selling things that used to sell for them for a lot more money and a lot quicker, but don't sell for as much money and sell slower today. So for example, again, you probably sold a DVD for $40 in the pandemic that today does not sell for $6. But you didn't bother to look it up because you thought to yourself, I've sold this before for $40, I'm just going to pick it up. And chances are pretty high that that no longer sells. And that's across all categories. Media is just a really easy one to use because the majority of people reaching out to me saying, hey, my sales are garbage and they used to be awesome, are clothing and media sellers. Those two categories, for whatever reason, and it may just be the individuals reaching out to me, but I can kind of see from a lot of different numbers and data points and data sets that this is a struggling category for a lot of people, and that's because they don't focus on what's selling right now. Is the media category, is the CD category, is the men's button-up shirts category, are those categories dead? Absolutely not. Like I said, I've made a couple $100s this month from cassettes and CDs, and I'm probably going to make a couple $100 next month from cassettes and CDs, but it's the right cassettes, and it's the right CDs. It's the right button-up shirt. Tommy Bahama used to be an epic bolo. Then it just became kind of a bolo. Now most people don't even pick up Tommy Bahama. Same thing with Travis Matthews. I talk about this a lot. Same thing, in my opinion, is going to happen to Kuhl, Kuhl. I sell a ton of Kuhl shirts every week, every month. Probably not every week, every month, because I don't have a ton of them. I used to get $40 for them, and they used to have a 300% sell-through rate. Now I only get $30 for them, and they have a 100% sell-through rate. 6 months from now, I think I will only get $22 plus shipping, and they will have a 70% sell-through rate. It's just kind of what happens. If I just keep blindly buying Kuhl, my numbers will start to slow down, my income will slow down, and my store will just get bigger and bigger, not in a good way. And here's another tough one to talk about, but I just want you guys to know that I truly do love you guys a lot. I really hope that you guys can make more money than you ever have. You can spend more time with your family than you ever have. If you guys have decided to do this side hustle or this business, I hope that it's one of the best decisions that you guys have ever made, and I hope that I can help you guys realize that. One of the main reasons why people don't go full-time on reselling or make a full-time income reselling is because they blame other people. And I'm very empathetic for people's situations and for things that are going on in their lives that make things harder. But if you look for yellow cars, you will find yellow cars. If you look for opportunities, you will find opportunities. And if you look for excuses, you will find excuses. This is going to get probably a little rambling and philosophical, but I just want to tell you guys about a moment that changed my life forever when I was 8 or 9 years old. And it didn't change my life until about a decade later because I didn't understand it. But my grandfather taught me an amazing principle as an 8 or 9 year old. So during that time, my oldest cousin was on her high school basketball team, and a bunch of us went to watch her game. It's just a high school game, so nothing super serious. Both teams at halftime went to their separate locker rooms, and then a bunch of us kids in the audience ran down to the court and started shooting half-court shots. And I was only 8 or 9, so I was just strong enough to get the ball to the rim, but I wasn't able to make any in those like 7 or 8 minutes that we had. But one kid who was older than me made one, and I remember going back to the bleachers, and I said, "Man, he's just lucky." And my grandpa said something that later changed my life forever. He said, "There's no such thing as luck. There is only applied skill." I was an 8-year-old, and I'm like, "Grandpa, what the freak are you talking about?" But then he went on and he explained, if you go outside into the parking lot, face the opposite direction from the basketball hoop, and throw a basketball, it does not matter how much luck you have, that ball will not go into the hoop. It will not. But if you face the hoop, if you learn correct form, and if you get strong enough to get the ball far enough, you will eventually get lucky and make it. That changed my perspective on everything. It doesn't matter how much of a lucky person I am, if I never post anything on eBay, I will never sell something on eBay because it's not posted there. If I never post a video on TikTok, I will never be lucky and get a 1 million view video. But if I post 2 or 3 TikToks a day every single day for 1,000 days, my chances of getting lucky and hitting 1 million views on TikTok are increased astronomically. The harder you work, the luckier you get. So with that being said, I understand that some people's areas don't allow them to source a ton of good items. I understand that some people have spouses that do not support what they do. I understand that some people just refuse to accept that some things have changed, whether it be on eBay or in their lives, or items, economics, a ton of different things have changed, and some people just can't accept those. But I understand that not everyone has the same opportunities that I do, and some people have better opportunities than I do. I have an amazing thrift store right down the street. You guys see it on my TikToks if you follow me there. And you guys see here on YouTube all of the items that I'm consistently selling. The majority of them, not the majority of them, but a lot of them come from one really good thrift store. My wife and I have decided to move for a bunch of different reasons. One, to be right in the middle of both of our families, a couple different reasons, but one of the, probably the biggest reason we are deciding to move is because there's more opportunity for my reselling business in northern Utah. Here in St. George, I have an incredible thrift store, but there's only one. Just one. I can drive 40 minutes up the street to the Cedar DI, which is okay. Not worth going every single day, but it's okay. And then I can drive down to Vegas, which is 2 hours away, and I can do that as often as I'd like to. And I can drive to northern Utah, that's only 3 hours away, as often as I'd like to. But it's difficult, and I can't really fit all that in definitely not every single day. But living in northern Utah, there's that same thrift store times 16, and they're all really good. And there's a ton of really good Goodwills up there. There's a ton of really good Savers up there, and there's dozens of ma and pa shops up there as well. Because of where I live, I have a ton of awesome blessings and opportunities, and it has launched my career in reselling and YouTube. And I'm not going to let, though I can very easily make $100,000 a year just going to that one thrift store, which sounds insane, but it's true. But I cannot make $200,000. I can't do it. So I've been going to Vegas and all these other places. And doing what I'm doing now, I just cannot make $400,000 reselling from the traditional thrift stores and garage sales. But I'm not going to let my environment limit my capabilities. I can also look into online sourcing, which has its pros and cons, and I could really do that, but that's not something that I'm interested in either. We have made a decision based on a lot of different factors that eventually, it'll probably be in a year or so, we will be moving to a place that has 50 thrift stores within 75 minutes of me. Right now, within 75 minutes of me, there's like 4, maybe 5. Yeah, just 5. So I'm not going to let my environment control my business. And if I had to stay here, I would still push through those barriers and learn more online sourcing and all that good stuff. But what I'm trying to say is, if you feel like you don't have a good opportunity or a good environment, you have to change that. Please don't put my personal story and experience as the way to do and run your business. That's just one example of how you can overcome your circumstances or not blame anyone else but yourself. There's a ton of circumstances where a lot of people just say that stuff isn't in my area, and you just haven't done the work to find those items in your area. Especially the people that I'm talking to in this video are people that haven't that don't make a full-time income. I believe you can make a full-time income anywhere in the United States, anywhere. Name a location, name the most rural location in Montana or anywhere, and you can make full-time income doing this reselling thing. So those are the people that I'm talking to. If you're not making full-time income, I'm sorry to say this, it's your fault and it's no one else's. And that's going to lead me to my last reason why people don't make a full-time living, and that's because you don't need to, or you don't want to. You have a situation where you have a spouse that makes a ton of income and you would just like to make a side income. You have a situation where you have an awesome full-time job and you just want to make a side income. You have a situation where your cost of living is extremely low and you just want to make enough money to go on vacations and pay for your bills. You don't have to go full-time on eBay or reselling. That's a talking point here on social media and within content, but you don't have to. A lot of people are perfectly fine making an extra $200 a week because that pays for both car payments. Awesome. A lot of people are okay with only making $200 extra a week because that allows them to save $800 a month because all their bills are already paid. A lot of people aren't okay with making $4,000 a month from this because their bills are $7,500 a month. So they got to find out how to, everyone's situation is different. You don't have to go full time. You don't have to make a full time living on this. You just got to choose what's best for you and your family and your business. But if you want to make a full time income, which I've alluded to, that you can make a full time income not even working full time, and that's one of the premises of this channel, is to teach you guys how to make a full time income without even doing this full time. But you don't even have to make a full time income. You just got to do what's best for you. But if you can't make a full time living in your area, please don't shoot the messenger. It's not because of your area, it's because of you. And I mean that positively. You can figure out through this channel and through many other channels here on YouTube, you can figure out how to make more money. And that's why me and all these other YouTubers are here. I want you to make more money than you ever have and spend more time with your family than you ever have. Focus on sell-through rate. Focus on acquiring good items. Focus on the customer. Focus on becoming a better version of yourself. And you're going to make a ton of money reselling.